Alright, so I'm going to give you a set of plans here on a little bit, and what's going to happen is after I give you this set of plans, we're all going to break off and you guys are going to get in your groups and you're going to start building a doghouse. And what's going to happen is you're going to look at each other and go, well, what are we supposed to do now? Well, I wasn't listening, I thought you were listening. Well, I was kind of phasing out. And please pay attention when we're going over this so that when we go to work, you guys can just start cutting. The first thing, this is like a contract. This is a set of plans like a contractor would get. First thing we're going to start with is the floor. And does anybody know what these boards are called underneath your floor? If you go home and there's these boards that support all your subfloor and your actual flooring, does anybody know what they're called? Cheater.
The joists?
Yes.
I was just guessing.
The joists are what run underneath your floor. And so these on the outside are called your rim joists. They go around the rim. And then these in the center are called your regular joists. They're not called regular joists, they're just called joists. And we need to cut them to the correct length. So the first thing we're going to do is look at our set of plans. At the very top it says from outside to outside is, can you read that measurement? What does it say?
2 feet.
Is it inches?
2 feet 11 inches. So that means from outside to outside should be 2 foot 11, right? So these are not cut to length. All the 2x that are down here are not cut to length. So you're going to take these over to the chop saw and you're going to cut them. What length are you going to cut these to? 2 foot 11. Okay, good. So do we need to actually mark these? Does anybody remember how the chop saw works? Oh, that's good. That's good. No, we do not need to make a mark where we're going to cut because we have a miter gauge over there. We're going to go set the miter gauge to 2 foot 11 and we'll run it up against the miter gauge and cut it, and then what's left over will be your 2 foot 11 piece. So that is the very first thing you're going to do. You got it?
C.
Yeah.
Are we doing anything with a tape measure?
9.
Not yet.
Okay. Once you do that, the next thing we need to do is cut out all these joists to length. Now this one's going to be a little bit more technical. You guys are going to have some issues here, I hope, because we're going to learn something if you do. It says outside to outside is 1 foot 11. Does that mean these are 1 foot 11?
No.
You're shaking your head not. Why not?
She just wanted to.
Like 1 foot 10 inches.
She wanted to say.
Are these 1 foot 11? It says outside to outside is 1 foot 11.
It's
No,
not.
no, need to be
It's not
shorter.
inside.
It needs to go inside, it needs to go between these. So outside to outside needs to be 1 foot 11. So these are all 3/4 inch thick. Every one of these is going to be 3/4. So 3/4 plus 3/4, 75 cents plus 75 cents is
$1.50.
$1.50. And if the whole thing needs to be 2 foot 11, how long do these need to be? 1 foot 9.5. 3/4 plus 3/4 is 1.5 inches. 1.5 minus 1 foot 11 is 1 foot 9.5. So you need to go cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces at 1 foot 11, right?
No.
There, thank you.
1 foot
Somebody's
11.
got it.
So,
Okay, 1 foot 11 minus 1.5 inches. And when we cut those, the nice thing about that chop saw is you can line up 3 of those at the same time. So you set your miter gauge to the measurement you need, and you can cut all 3 of these at the same time. That make sense? Okay, and then we need to spread them out according to the plans,
It's just 8 inches apart.
which says at the top, all joists 8 inches OC. Does anybody know what that means, OC? Ever heard of it before? 8 inches on center. So that means on center will be every one of these. So I will start right here and I'll come over 8 inches and I'll put a mark. And then I'll come down to what?
16, then 24, and so on and so forth.
What's so on?
So on and so forth, like on forward.
Way to kill it, man.
It's okay.
Okay,
It's not on camera.
now that I've got those marked, I need to mark it again on that side. What can I do? Transfer it over. How should I transfer it over?
Put the boards next to each other.
There we go. So I'm going to line up the back here, and then I'm going to get my speed square, line it up on that line on each of those. Now if I was actually framing, it would be really hard to center these, because I'm gonna need to nail this right on that line, right? And I need to know if that's centered, but when I have a 2x4, which is actually 1.5 inches wide, it's hard to tell when it's centered. So if it's 1.5 inches wide, I would actually call it burning. I'm gonna burn 3/4 of an inch. I'm gonna come back 3/4 of an inch and put my mark, instead of at 8, I'm gonna do it at 7 1/4. And then this is going to be the side of the 2x4, and then I would X out so that I can actually line up the side of where that goes. But these are actually 3/4 wide, which means I would come back how far if I came back? That's half of 3/4. 3/4. All you do is you half the denominator. Half of 3/4 is 3/8. Thank you. So if we come up to 8, we come back 3/8. It's at 7 5/8. So if I put a line right at 7 5/8, not that you guys are going to do this because you'll all get confused, but I'm just telling you. Now I have the side where this goes, so I can tell right where the edge of that is lined up with. So when I'm actually framing, I'm going to do this so I can tell where it lines up. But for you guys, I don't want to confuse you right now, so we're just going to stick with 8 inches on center. So once you put that mark at 8 inches, we're going to line up the center of each of those on that. Does that make sense? Hope so. Then you're going to move that back over, and now I can line it up. Now what's always going to happen, there's going to be somebody in your group that is very detail orientated. And so you're going to line it up about like this, and then that person's going to move this one, which is going to move this side, and that person's going to get upset, and then they're going to come over here. This doesn't matter, because when we start nailing, we're going to take it all down anyway. So you can line it up if you want, but it's not going to help, because the next thing we're going to do is start nailing it. Does that make sense? Okay, what I'd like you to do is we're all going to go over to the chop saw. I'm going to review how to use the chop saw, and then come back and we'll start. I'll give you your plan set and you'll get going. So head over to the chop saw.